Glenn, you know me, but you don't know me because, we have this huge history at BU, and the street that you lived on happened to be where my dad parked his car during his lunch break. And what he would do is he would go to his car at lunch, and sometimes I meet him there, borrow $10, or eat off his sandwich or whatever. But he would go there and smoke some weed. Now, for the audience that doesn't know, this street is nice. It's probably one of the nicest streets in Boston, that part of Brookline. And I was like, Dad, why are you smoking weed on this street? This is like the stupidest thing I've ever seen, Dad. And he's like, well, there's a muckety muck from BU that lives right over here. And since, I'm an actor and, I'm going to pretend I'm him. And so can you imagine, he could probably he pulled that off. So my dad played the part of Glenn Loury when he smoked his weed at his lunch break before he went back to class. And then
that's a wild story. Go on.
Well, then I also realized that you know me because I'm a graduate of the Park School in Brookline and the Brookline High School Brookline High School, and I think you know some kids that went to Brookline High.
Two of my sons went to Brookline High School. Glenn and Nehemiah graduated. Let me see if I can. Nehemiah in 2009 and Glenn in 2007.
So you know the kind of mouthiness a person like myself possesses as a graduate of Brookline High and, of course, Boston University.
I didn't know our circles intersected so extensively. Your father used to smoke weed on Ivy Street in front of my house, 108 Ivy Street, which
between 2 and 4 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
What did he do at BU?
My dad was acting and directing professor at the School of Arts. He started there in 1978. Previous to that, he was an actor in New York City, and he was Professor Amiri Baraka's guy. So Professor Baraka wrote the play The Toilet, which I don't think is very favorable, but the play
I've heard of, but not read that play.
Right. So that was written with him in mind. He was the first guy to play it on off-Broadway. And then my dad was an Emerson professor. He was part of the Theater Company of Boston and did a lot of shows with Al Pacino and folks like that. And,
wow.
And then in 1978, BU put him on the tenure track. So he became a BU professor and stayed there until 2007, somewhere about that.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, well, he was a tough old bird. But
I was that big muckety buck who lived on Ivy Street and worked at BU.
It was you. It was you.
Okay.
So my dad pretended to be you. He'd flash his BU ID when any of the cops would say, "What are you two doing here?" And he'd be like, "I live here." And this was obviously before the Henry Louis Gates incident, but that's what it was literally. He thought it was the safest place for him to smoke weed was in front of your house. Because he was going to pretend. He's a fantastic actor. And he could just pretend to be, I'm the economics professor at Boston University. And then what is the cop going to do then? What's a BU cop going to say to that?